power we wield, it wears away at our very being. It breaks us, it unmakes us, that its immaculate aspect might reveal itself. The icon.
Square Enix, and although haven't yet officially revealed a specific release date here, well, came out and once again went on and teased Final Fantasy XVI and said the game is releasing for the PlayStation 5 and eventually PCs around summer next year. Not just this, obviously, a new trailer to accompany the update was also aired too. Final Fantasy XVI won't really be much of a multiplayer this time around, but an individual experience according to developers and heavily focused on story and its single-player campaign.
Order to see us unto tomorrow. If I take the field, our duel will shake the island to its foundations. There will be losses, it is true. Yet for every citizen who falls, another can be bred. For every home that burns, another can be built. The Empire will live on.
Tyranny. Man finally defeated its overlord. But gods do not fall forever. The champions of war united and began the eternal watch over their tyrant's colossal remains.
Now, coming up behind that by CI Games, the same folks behind old Sniper Ghost Warrior games in case you're unfamiliar with them. Well, we have here Lords of the Fallen 2 and the fact that it's releasing early next year. Finally, what was pretty much originally set to come out 5 years ago but then changed developers during development stage. Lords of the Fallen 2 will now be coming to the PlayStation 5, Xbox consoles and PCs using Unreal Engine 5 and acting as an action RPG this time around and set in a new dark fantasy setting with a heavy emphasis on story.
One must embrace the darkness, and so lies our only hope.
The sand has memories. Memories of our past, when gods walked this world, and our heroes stood amongst them. But the gods' vanity grew, and in their struggle, we were cast away.
At number 3, and once again by the same developers in charge of the previous game Lords of the Fallen, we have here another new fantasy action role-playing game in the making called Atlas Fallen, which is said to be some sort of a semi-open world action-packed exploration-based sort of co-op support game too. Well, take a look. Atlas Fallen over here is also releasing next year and for PCs in the next generation of consoles only. Moving on, we have the old one and only Lies of P, which is an action Souls-like role-playing game, possibly an open world partially, that was announced around the same time last year. Yeah, a game where you get to play as Pinocchio and on this adventure of a lifetime to finally become human. I'm not gonna lie, this has to be the most hyped me for a game, simply because it's bringing lots of good memories and some good old Souls-like elements to life. This game is on its way to PCs and consoles, we hear mid to late 2023, if not earlier.
Ugh, this is definitely not the nicest neighborhood in town. Oof. Oh, I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Gemini. What? I'm not the Gemini you first met?
At number 5, once again, by the great publishers Prime Matter from no more than a couple of days ago actually, we have a totally brand new turn-based role-playing game that takes players on this particular journey on this fantasized new futuristic version of a lost city on Earth. Now, something here called Mato Anomalies, as you've guessed, an anime-style visual novel, sort of detective noir, and as I've mentioned, role-playing game. This one's releasing for all consoles and PCs, we hear early next year.
Frey Holland, daydreamer, cat lover, New Yorker. On a fateful evening, her life changed drastically when she was mysteriously transported to the beautiful, treacherous land of Athia.
Around the same time last month, we actually did get a brand new trailer on Square Enix's hotly anticipated open world action RPG that's been in the making since 2019, I believe, and I'm sure most of you are already familiar with going by Forspoken. And well, through a new trailer and the news that the game's delayed to next year. Only a few hours ago, we did come across a new trailer, and this time around actually 10 minutes of gameplay trailer, 4K, and the fact that the game's finally releasing January 24 next year after the PlayStation 5 and PCs.
Outside the safety of Sepal, the only life Frey will encounter are corrupted enemies looking to rip her limb from limb. Frey's combat spells make quick work of low-level enemies. And her magic-enhanced parkour abilities turn this inhospitable land into her personal playground. Treasure chests dot the landscapes and contain items used for crafting or trading with vendors back in Sepal.
At number 7, well, this goes without saying, it's got to be one of the biggest games in the making out of Quake Tecmo to date. We have here, as you could tell, Wulong Fallen Dynasty from only a couple of weeks ago. Assuming you've all missed out on this one, this was actually one of the biggest surprise reveals of the Bethesda showcase from earlier and from the same makers of Case with its gameplay trailer. Check it out, the game's set to be coming to PCs and all consoles early next year. At number 8 here, we have from a little less than 24 hours ago, something called Where Winds Meet. A brand new open world role-playing action-adventure mix. I've actually mentioned this one just a couple of days ago, and pretty much sit within the period of medieval China and through all the wars. Now in terms of story, and I believe partially, the game is inspired by Ghost of Tsushima and some other games. Where Winds Meet is a PC exclusive and possibly releasing mid to late next year. Moving on, and this is a pretty short one, so I'll try to make it quick. At NACON's showcase only a month ago, and alongside a lot of great games that was showcased, we technically did come across a new Robin Hood game, whatever, called Gangs of Sherwood, which is supposedly a third-person single-player and a co-op action base that's releasing for consoles early to mid next year. Take a quick look. Coming up behind that at number 10, we have more Rite, which is a roguelite, Souls-like, developed by this 5-man team called Round Toast Studios that actually started development since last year, and through a Kickstarter campaign that I believe is still live in case this is something right up your alley you could support. And besides the Souls and Rogue, as you can see, the game actually mostly consists of hack and slash and role-playing elements, and it even supports co-op for up to 5 players online. Check it out, this one's coming to PCs only for now, and due out possibly later this year.
Speaking.
Making progress, Zach?
And Gio. I can cut loose, right?
Within reason.
Moving on at 11, Crisis Core came our way once again with Final Fantasy VII, technically one that originally hit the PSP console back in 2007, and a remastered version of that is here on the way and will supposedly run in 120 FPS and will include updated 3D models, fully new voiceovers, and new music arrangements as well. Check it out. Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion is on its way to the PlayStation 4, 5, Xbox consoles as well. Also, then it's in the Switch and PCs late 2022 week.
Project G gave birth to the man we know as Genesis.
Project G.
Project Genesis.
Settle down, Zack the puppy. What do you know?
Shiver lapdogs!
Coming up behind that, and it's been some time, so I'm assuming at least a few of you have been waiting here. So in that case, THQ Nordic just released a new trailer for Gothic Remake and some new locations that are added into the game in addition to some modern designs. This is an action RPG set in a medieval world of humans and orcs in terms of premise, in case you're pretty much new to, that originally came out more than 20 years ago. The game is now releasing for PCs and the next generation of consoles with remade elements early next year.
And find some more. Right, no slacking. It's a pickaxe, not a soup ladle.
See nothing. Come on, let's head back. This is too dangerous.
Now go back to that piss hole of a camp. No way, man. Not until we find that stuff.
Instead, they unleashed a pestilence on our world. No one yet knows if you can kill a god. I, for one, intend to find out.
Now, at number 13 by Kelper Interactive, the same folks behind the first-person shooter horror game in the making since 2017, Scorn, we just came across a new gameplay trailer for Flintlock: The Siege of Dawn. The game is now releasing for all consoles and PCs between January to March next year. Flintlock, for those of you new, however, was one of the new titles announced during the Bethesda showcase as an open-world action RPG where guns and gods collide. Take a look.
It began as song, pitched sweet and solemn. They that heard came hollow, fallen.
Coming up behind that by Digital Software, we have once again another free-to-play and also the follow-up to 2013 Warframe game here, a brand new something called Soulframe, and supposedly more of a melee-focused game in terms of gameplay opposed to Warframe. Soulframe does not have a release date at the time. Technically, it started development at the beginning of 2022, but we know it's coming to PCs, Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5 only by the end of 2023 at its earliest.
Yet beyond the pale of Odin's sky live verdant fields of rain and wild, where omen beasts of Alka's lost remember still and tell the ghost. lonesome well. Envoys of shame. And bear their souls within your frame.
This land is not for the weak. Most of us wouldn't last a day. But we know you're different. Even the Raven could see that.
At number 15, we have from earlier this year on our radar a almost brand new open world roguelite something called Ravenbound, which is described by its developers as something with the challenge of a roguelite and the choices of an open world game, inviting you to explore its large fantasy planet either on foot or in the sky as the Ravenbound. There's one problem: Ravenbound doesn't have a release date yet. It's under kind of early development and it's set to be released for PCs only.
It's a force stronger than you can imagine. But just as dust, carried by the wind, can level mountains, you can wield unimaginable power if you let it wield you.
And last but not least, we've got here once again the old Eiyuden Chronicle 100 Heroes, the hugely anticipated spiritual successor to Suikoden from a tad over a couple of years ago, and through a Kickstarter campaign which literally met all of its development goals and 10 times even more within a month. The game is now supposedly releasing by the end of 2023, if not early. Game's on its way to PC, Switch, all of the consoles as well, and this is what it's all about.